Hi, it's semi-final time here on India on 99.94. India, of course, up against England in the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. And a very special episode from us here today, previewing that and also touching on New Zealand versus Pakistan as well. As always, I'm your host, Nikesh Rugyhani, BBC and SEN cricket commentator, alongside Sarah Waris of Wisden. And Sarah, just before we kick off the episode, for those of you listening to us on podcast, on the audio version, just jump on YouTube if you get a chance and have a look, just so you know what we're talking about. Sarah, how's the moustache coming along? You can see my effort for Movember there. Is it more Merv Hughes, David Boone, Mitch Johnson?
I've heard this is the first time that you are growing a mustache. So how
Yeah.
does it feel for you?
It feels weird. It feels a bit prickly at the moment. It's kind of at that stage now. We're 8 days in to November, and it's gone beyond just normal stubble. It's kind of not quite mustache where I can comb it or anything like that, or oil it, or groom it in any way. Not that I've got any of those products anyway, but it's just got that kind of weird prickly, kind of itchy stage. But all for a good cause, for the Movember Men's Health Charity. So I'll give that a little plug before we get into the episode. If you follow me on any of my socials, or if you just jump on there, and if you don't follow me, just have a look at the links that I've been posting, and any donations are welcome, going a good way actually towards getting to my target at the moment. So thanks to all those who have supported so far. But right, enough about me and my Merv Hughes impersonation, and on to other matters in Australia, Sarah, because it's been a long time coming. India at the group stage of the T20 World Cup last year, and this time group winners into the semi-finals up against a very strong England side. So we're going to talk all things India versus England to kick this one off. And just before we look into the matchups as well, have you seen that there's injury concerns on both sides, aren't there? Because Rohit Sharma was hit on the hand in the net session earlier on today as we're speaking. He then went off for some treatment, did come back and was facing throwdowns, looked to be okay, which is a good sign. Or is it a good sign? I don't know. Lots of people might be thinking it might be better off putting someone else opening the batting. But, he's the skipper. You don't want to change your captain so late in a crucial match in this tournament. And then from the England side as well, David Malan is most likely going to miss the match. He's pretty much ruled out. And Mark Wood has missed training as well. That could be a massive blow, and that could be a big advantage for India as well. Lots happening, isn't there?
Yeah, especially Mark Wood's speeds, especially facing the Indian openers facing someone of Mark Wood's speed. I think they would be heaving a sigh of relief if he was to eventually miss the semi-final tomorrow.
Yeah, and Rohit Sharma as well. I mean, that was a concern. I don't know if you've seen the videos, everyone who's sort of watching us and listening to us, but jump online, have a look at, Bharat Sundaresan's posted some videos as well. Beastie Boy, our good friend here on 99.94. So go and have a look at, exactly what happened, and then the fact that he carried on that net session as well. Have you sort of heard anything? Have you seen anything to suggest that this is more serious than we perhaps think?
I just saw a tweet video later from Bharat, and he was back in the nets. Rohit Sharma was back in the nets, so hopefully, yeah, he's good to go. I was secretly hoping, that Virat Kohli can become the captain if Rohit was to miss out tomorrow. Kohli becomes the captain, and what he couldn't achieve, go on and hopefully achieve that for India.
This
But
is,
yeah,
ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen, this is Sarah Waris, who was calling for Virat Kohli to be dropped from the T20. She wasn't the only one, though.
Yeah.
I sort of suggested that as well. Just a few months ago. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, what a difference
Yeah.
a few months makes. We're all calling for Kohli to take over the side now, if that
He was
happens.
the
It won't happen, of
player of the
course.
month. Yeah. Player of the month,
Yeah,
ICC
ICC
player of
Player
the
of the
month,
Month.
October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first time that Virat Kohli has won that accolade. It's not been going that long, though, to be fair. And but even if Rohit Sharma was to be injured for the semi-final, it would be KL Rahul who would step in. He's the vice captain. And I don't think that would be the most inspiring thing for this side. We've talked about his leadership before. Look, he's in decent form with the bat now, so just let him concentrate on that. And if worst was to happen, then hopefully they'd look at other options, but I don't think they would. He's the vice captain. So let's just hope that Rohit Sharma is fit and can fire, because that has been an issue, hasn't it? Let's talk power play, right? Because going into this semi-final, India, I mean, the whole build up to the World Cup has been about intent, that word, intent, at the top of the order. We've not seen that really translate into runs for any side in this competition consistently, have we? Conditions have been difficult. There's been a lot of rain around. There's been moisture. The ball's been swinging. There's this new Kookaburra ball as well with the new stitching. So that's been sort of favouring the opening bowlers as well, get that extra couple of overs of movement there. So it's not been easy. There's been some good bowling. Obviously, all the teams have done great planning on how to bowl, which areas to bowl to particular batters at the top of the order. And there's the nerves of playing in a World Cup as well. It's not like playing in meaningless bilateral series time and time again, where you can just afford to give it a go and go all hell for leather early on. There is that pressure that if I get out, then I'm going to put pressure on the rest of the middle order as well. So there's all those factors which come into play. But against a side like England, I mean, it's basically the England blueprint that India have been looking to before this World Cup, and all these sides really. England are the side that started that under Owen Morgan, that we just go for it, and if we lose wickets, we keep going for it. Sometimes we'll lose, most of the time we'll win, and we'll score big scores, and smash it in the power play as well. And we're looking to get at least 60, 70 off those first 6 overs. That is more crucial, I feel, in a game against England, because they're going to do it. Alex Hales and Joss Buttler at the top of that order, they're going to do that. And if they do it, you need to make sure that you do it as well, especially if you're batting first and you're setting a total. And I think that's the one big concern I've got going into this semi-final. You agree with that?
Yeah, last episode I said that I'd be happier facing England in the semi-final. Just going through points and looking at everything. I was like, why did I even say that? Because England are a very dangerous team, and yeah, it begins right from the top. So India have a strike rate of 95 in the power play, 95, not even run a ball in the power play in this T20 World Cup, which is third worst. Only Namibia and Zimbabwe are below them. And England, as you said, it's not been the most it's not been a very high scoring tournament. But England have a strike rate of 125, which is not like the best, like if you just look at it, but it's still the second best in the tournament. South Africa just ahead of England. So there's a difference of 30 runs right there, right there in the power play overs, which is huge. And I would say that how the two teams approach the power play is going to decide the batting. Power play is going to decide the match, especially KL Rahul strike rate of 88 in the power play overs, Rohit Sharma strike rate of 89 in the power play overs. He's spoken a lot about batting with aggression and intent, and everything. It's been hard, the conditions have been very tough, but just they've not even seen through, they've not even stitched together an opening partnership that has lasted the entire 6 overs. So that's what makes Virat Kohli's performance in this tournament even more impressive, that he's had to, when the other openers have struggled, almost like a makeshift opener, so to say. He's come in, seen of the new ball, and then just scored the runs. And in comparison, Rohit Sharma, we spoke about strike rate of 89. It's not even been the best tournament for captains. Joss Buttler, on the other hand, has a strike rate of 132, which is the best amongst all captains. So I think the power play overs, and especially how the two captains go, that's going to define where the match is headed, at least up front.
Yeah, I mean, it's crying out for a Rohit Sharma 50, isn't it? This semi-final. If there ever was a time for your captain to play a captain's knock, this is it. Semi-final, new captain as well, first ICC tournament for Rohit Sharma as a permanent leader. And it's the stage is set. I mean, that makes it even more crucial, though, the way India's top order has been playing, the top two in particular, apart from maybe the last couple of games of KL Rahul. But that partnership between the top two hasn't fired. And the middle order, I mean, if it wasn't for the likes of Kohli and Sky in particular coming in there, and Hardik's shown flashes as well in the Pakistan game. He started well, and we've seen flashes of good stuff from Hardik Pandya as well. We know what he can do down there. Rishabh Pant's probably going to be in the side as well. We'll come on to that in a minute, whether it's him or DK. But that middle order becomes so much more crucial, and it just shows how good India's middle order has been, because even in the last game against Zimbabwe, they never looked like getting to 186 for a long, long time. And it took a very special innings from Sky, 61 of 25, to get them there in the end. I mean, that is a special innings by anyone's standards, and the shots he was playing and the innovation he was using and proper 360 stuff. And those scoops over fine leg, just absolutely brilliant. But if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for Virat Kohli's miracle against Pakistan in that first game as well, India would really be struggling. And again, it would be that top order batting which has been getting them into trouble time and time again. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the middle order, isn't there, once more?
Yeah. Hardik Pandya and Virat Kohli still don't have the best strike rate in the middle overs in this tournament. Virat Kohli strike rate 118, Hardik Pandya 107 in the middle overs. It's only Surya Kumar Yadav with a strike rate of 170, who comes in and just takes off the pressure on everyone and goes after the bowling. And India do have the best strike rate in the death overs in this tournament. And that's got a lot to do with Surya Kumar Yadav. And what I'm afraid of is, especially Virat Kohli has his struggles against spin. Rohit Sharma has his struggles against spin. This is going to be a used pitch for the semi-final, which I know has its own criticism. Why you using a used pitch? So, if Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma are batting together in the middle overs, Adil Rashid, Moeen Ali, even Liam Livingstone, they could just tie down the batters, and that's why Sky becomes even more crucial, because you can just go after everyone and everything. And right now, I don't see that there's any weak point. But then, what I'm afraid of is, the law of averages catching up on him. That's just an Indian fan in me talking. So yeah, and even Hardik Pandya, he does struggle against high pace. So, that's one area where England could go and attack him with high pace. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the strike rates there from Kohli and Hardik in those middle overs. I suppose part of that is their style of sort of settling in and then teeing off, but also they've been coming in pressure situations time and time again. I mean, Kohli usually comes in when either one or two quick wickets have been lost early on, and he's there having to rebuild the innings. Sky just does what he wants and just comes in and starts hitting from ball one. So he's on a different planet. But then, Sky a couple of times has done that, like against Pakistan, 15 off 10. It was a little cameo, but then gets out. And then again, the pressure on somebody like a Hardik Pandya coming in after that. So, part of it could be to do with that. But some interesting matchups. And it'd be interesting to see how India go about sort of tackling those England threats. And we'll discuss some of those matchups after this short break.
You're listening to Cricket's Conversation on 99.94. Whatever your team, we have the show for you on podcast, YouTube, or on the 99.94 app. We have India, England, South Africa, West Indies, and now Sri Lanka covered. If you want to find us, the best way is to follow us on social media at 9994DM by downloading the 9994 app or Google 99.94 on podcast. We speak cricket.
So those matchups that we talked about then, you touched on it there. It's a used pitch in Adelaide. And it's amazing to think, I mean, growing up, to even suggest that England had a decent spin bowling attack first and foremost was outrageous, because they just had basically dibbly-dobbly bowlers who could turn it in South Asia maybe, but weren't really a big threat, sort of slow spinners, and they didn't get that bite and that spit, and there wasn't really any skill or mystery about any of them. But it's a better spin bowling attack than India, and that is outrageous, and it's just the way it's been. I mean, they've got Adil Rashid's world class. He's a World Cup winner, for God's sake, and he was a big part of England winning that 2019 World Cup. Whether you think they won it or not, whatever, but he was a big part in them winning that trophy. And Moeen Ali, he's not necessarily a frontline spinner, but he's very sort of flexible in terms of where he can bowl. He can bowl in the power play, does that quite often in the IPL and for England. And, doesn't necessarily have to bowl the 4 overs, but, such a clever bowler as well, particularly to left-handers coming round the wicket, and that one that slides on and the odd one that straightens as well. And Liam Livingstone can bowl leggies and offies as well. And with Moeen and Liam Livingstone, the advantage they've got as well, England, is that they're both all-rounders. So they're both primarily in the side for their batting, especially Livingstone. And even Moeen, to an extent, he has more of an impact with the bat for England than with the ball these days in T20 cricket. But they're more than useful with the ball as well, and they could cause all sorts of problems. They could potentially, as I said in the previous episode, bowl 12 overs between them if they needed to, and if the pitch was conducive to their kind of bowling as well. So that's going to be another difficult challenge. I mean, there is the advantage that people like Hardik would rather face a Moeen Ali than a Mark Wood. So there is that kind of aspect to it as well. There is also the fact that Moeen's an off spinner. India predominantly a team full of right-handers. And even if Rishabh Pant does play, Rishabh Pant's got a great record against Moeen in the IPL as well. He's taken him down numerous times in the IPL. So there is that advantage as well. How do you see that battle going between England's spinners and India's batters there?
Yeah, but just stats, Virat Kohli has a strike rate of around 106 against Adil Rashid. He's been dismissed by him a number of times, even against...
Do you remember the eyes? Well, I think it was at Edgbaston where he just got bowled by an absolute ripper, and that meme with his eyes just wide open, like, what the hell happened there? It was a magic delivery.
Yeah. So, spin has always been, even in the IPL, we saw, how spin turned out to be, especially Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli's nemesis, so to say. Even you spoke about Rishabh Pant. Rishabh Pant doesn't have the best record against slow left arm spinners, strikes at better record in the IPL, but has a strike rate of around 90, 95 against them in T20I. So, the overall middle order is not very well. They don't tackle spinners as much as we would have liked. Again, Sky is the only one who has a better, the best strike rate among all the players in the top 7, and it just becomes crucial. His place and his role tomorrow just becomes even more crucial. And on the other hand, you spoke about India's spinners. So India's spinners, how do you see that going? Like, should Akshar Patel play? Akshar Patel, but then England have a lot of left-handers, and if he's not going to bowl, then should you get in Chahal, or I just hope they don't get in Deepak Hooda, because I somehow don't think he gives that much confidence, especially, he's a top order player. So how do you see India going?
If there was a way to get him into that top order, then potentially, because he could be like a third spinner. I think Ashwin plays just because of the experience and the fact he's been doing well. I think Akshar might go, but the only issue with that is that who do you bat? Who do you bat at 7? Does Ashwin come in and bat at 7 then? And then who are you going with at 8? Is it Bhuvi at 8? I mean, that makes it look really light in the batting department, doesn't it? I think Chahal has to play just simply because England, historically don't play that well against, high quality leg spinners. And that's just a fact. And, if Milan doesn't play, then there could be another right-hander in the top order. It depends who comes in. I'd love Chahal, and even Chahal against left-handers. He's got a good googly. He can slide it across them. He can make it difficult for them. He's always looking for wickets as well. And this is a match where you're going to find it difficult to contain a side like England because they're just going to keep going for it. Wickets is the way to do that. I think taking wickets, putting them under pressure, getting into that lower order as quickly as you can, getting them 5, 6, 7 down with 5 overs still to spare. If they're 7 down, then that's the time where you can put the squeeze on them. I don't think just trying to bowl economically or firing in darts like Akshar does is the way to go because A, he's very hittable, as we've seen in this tournament, on Australian pitches especially, and there's no mystery about him. So, and he's not that wicket taker. He's in Test cricket, yes, in Indian conditions on spinning wickets. He is a brilliant wicket taker in that. He's got a phenomenal record in his short Test career so far on wickets that suit him and suit that style of bowling. On Australian pitches, you need somebody like a Chahal. We've seen Shane Warne be so successful on these pitches. Murali's been successful. You need people who can turn it on any surface. Ashwin, okay, he's not going to rip it, but he's got those little subtle variations, the variation of pace, the carom ball. He's got enough in his armoury to be successful in these conditions in white ball cricket. Chahal, I think, has as well. He can give it a good rip on pretty much any surface, and he's always looking for wickets. And I think that's the only way to halt the England batters, I think, is to take wickets. But then if you pick Chahal, how are you going to make up for the batting frailties there? Because Ashwin at 7, and then that's a long tail, isn't it? It's too long a tail, I think. The way India's top order has been performing as well, it's been inconsistent. KL's not really done it against any,
Strong
top
side.
side. So if he fails, if Rohit fails, you're 2 down early on. You're already into numbers 3 and 4, potentially in the power play. And then they have to play differently because they've not got the confidence in the lower order as well. So it's a difficult one. I mean, do you find a place for Harshal Patel? But then who do you drop? You can't drop anyone, can you? Because Bhuvi's been bowling so well. The seamers have been brilliant. Bhuvi, Shami and Arshdeep are undroppable at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's
And
really, really difficult.
Yeah, and even with Pant, DK Pant is coming in. Everyone is talking about how he's a big match player, etc., etc. But Pant wasn't even in the team till 2 matches ago and doesn't have the best T20 record. Like we all thought that T20s will be his best format, but he's not had much of an impact in this format. Been more of a not test specialist, a match winner in Test cricket more than he has in T20s. Probably, the pressure of leading Delhi Capitals in the IPL has probably, kind of made him go the KL Rahul route. Unfair to say, but probably, just being the stat padder. Had a decent IPL this year, but yeah, so there's the technically it's just, relying on Virat Kohli and Surya Kumar Yadav. Hardik Pandya not done a lot except that match against Pakistan. So yeah, it's just fears are real. And also another thing is that England did struggle against spin against Sri Lanka. So yeah, I would probably get in an extra. I would get in Chahal at the risk of batting death because I
think they have
to.
They have to go that way just to have the strongest possible bowling attack, and they've got to back their batters. And Rohit Sharma, you've got to show up now. You've got to get some runs, and KL, you need to continue as well, because that's the only way. Getting off to a good start with the bat. If India lose 2 early wickets, it could be game done, unless you see some absolute fireworks and stuff from Kohli and Sky once again, because they've relied on them two so much throughout this tournament. But then if you're only batting really like specialist batters down to 6, and then you've got your all-rounder in inverted commas in Ashwin at 7, and Bhuvi, all right, can hold a bat, but he's not a batter in this format. So he's a tail ender as far as I'm concerned in this format. So your tail starts at 8. So yeah, it's difficult to find the right combination, but I think they've got to get Chahal in there, and they've got to just hope their top order fires, basically. And they've got a better chance, haven't they, without the likes of Mark Wood like we mentioned, if Mark Wood was to miss out. Missed training, of course, 2 days out from the game, so he's still got a little bit of time. We'll see. I think Mark Wood might play, though. I think that they might be wrapping him up in cotton wool. He'll play. He's been brilliant.
Games.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. Sam Curran's been brilliant as well. I mean, they've got lots of options with the ball, haven't they? Chris Wokes, again,
Ben
another
Stokes.
doesn't let them down. Stokes as well. I mean, Stokes is the weak link, I think, with the ball in this format of I think Stokes might be the weak link as a player in this format because they just can't fit him in. If Milan, I think what might suit them is if Milan doesn't play and Stokes bats at 3. Because Stokes, I mean, even the Rajasthan Royals can't fit him in their side, really. I mean, he's a great cricketer. He was player of the season when he was playing for Pune a few years back in the IPL. He's obviously one of the greatest players in the world, but I don't know, as a T20 cricketer, there's no sort of role that he easily fits into. He's not really an opening batter. He's not really a number 3 either. But if you're going to pick him, you probably need to get him at the top of the order with the bat. And then with the ball, just looks more hittable than the others, really. I mean, we saw what Carlos Brathwaite did a few years ago when he came on to bowl that fine low. But that was a bit of a freak. But, he doesn't really look the biggest threat with the ball. So I think that if he might not bowl. Stokes might not, if they bowl 3 spinners, 4 overs each, if it's that kind of pitch, Stokes might not need to bowl as well. So maybe get him up at number 3 and see how he goes there and see if he's any more destructive, if he comes in early on, maybe in the power play. And, maybe that's his best role in this side as well. But yeah, they've got a really well-gelled, well-rounded team, England, haven't they? And there's not many weak links.
Yeah. Quick question. What does India look to do if they win the toss tomorrow? Use pitch, but I would still say that chasing is their strength. So I'm expecting that India lose the toss because it somehow always happens in crucial moments. They lose the toss, but what should happen if they win the toss?
I think in a game like this, they need to chase and they need to back their bowlers early on, because I don't think it's going to be, again, one of those pitches where the captain doesn't quite know what would be a good score batting first, because it's a used pitch, slightly unfamiliar conditions for both sides. Even though I know India have played there, but, given the nature of the pitch, you just don't know what would be good and how hard you need to go early on and all those types of things. I think with the way India are playing at the moment, they need that target on the board. They need to know exactly how many runs they need off those 20 overs. I don't think batting first is going to go very well, because what's going to happen if India bat first, and mark my words, if we wake up tomorrow morning and India lose the toss, they're sent in to bat first, or they win the toss. I mean, Rohit likes batting first, doesn't he? So he might well do that. If they bat first, Rohit's going to think, right, we need to get back to going hard and all this stuff, and they'll lose 2 wickets in the power play. It'll be done. The match will be over. The match, or even 10 for 2, and then Kohli will take time. Surya Kumar might hit a few shots. He'll probably get out early, law of averages and all that. It'll be hard. They can Virat for about 10 overs and they'll just be ticking it along, and they just won't get enough runs. They'll just lose those couple of early wickets, I think, because they'll go too hard on a difficult pitch and they won't quite know what a good score is. And I think the same could happen for both sides. So whoever bats first, that could be a massive risk for them. So yeah, chasing is definitely what I would prefer Rohit Sharma to do if he wins the toss. Right, we'll take another short break here and we'll be back on the other side.
If you love the language of cricket and want more, then head over to the 99.94 app and you can hear all of our podcasts and cricket commentary. We're adding new shows all the time and covering cricket series from all over the world. Be the first to hear all of our announcements by following us on social media at 9994DM. Welcome to Cricket's Conversation.
So sorry, I'm not going to ask you for any predictions about India versus England, but where do you, just finally on this one, where do you think the game will be won and lost?
As I said, in the power plays, India's batting in the power plays, and if India get off to 10 for 3, 10 for 2 even, it's going to come down to the power play, because in this match you have to get off to a good start, and you can't like let your team do catch up. You can't let your team play catch up. um Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar, like even they are superhumans, you can say, but even there's a limit to what they can and can't do, and it's time that KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, play those impactful knocks. They have 50s in this tournament, but it's not really been impactful knocks. And yeah, for India, if they are to lose the game or win the game, it's down to how they go in the power play overs. And if it doesn't work out, you can easily run out the England batters at the non-strikers end or take an early advantage, because Ashwin, they have been very vocal about saying they won't do that, and Ashwin said, I will take advantage of it. So, yeah, you can
Yep.
just easily not back up, just be out of your crease, because you know that you're not going to get run out. So I'd say take full advantage. And
I would love it
yeah.
if Joss Butler was batting. He's going to open, and if Ashwin came on to bowl in the power play,
Yeah.
and just even if Butler was in his crease, just sort of pulled away and had a cheeky little look, just to
Yeah.
get the crowd into it, just like he did the other day, didn't he? Who was it the other
Miller,
day?
I think.
Miller.
Yeah.
But actually, I mean, Miller probably could have got back in time anyway. He wasn't kind of that far out of his crease, but by the time Ashwin kind of pulled away, he was just a couple of inches out, wasn't he? And Ashwin didn't go for it,
And I think
which was
the
interesting.
ball was in his other hand. I think he was bowling around the wicket or something, so it would have been tougher for him.
Yeah, so it got the crowd into it, is what I'm saying. So that would be absolute scenes, wouldn't it, if that happened early on in that match? Just get Ashwin on in the power play. He might bowl in the power play because of the conditions and because the ball's spinning. He's done that numerous times before for various sides that he's played for over the years.
For the death, maybe.
Yeah, you could save an extra over for Arshdeep at the death as well, going that way. Although Arshdeep has been swinging it around corners, hasn't he? So you need to make the most of that as well. So we shall see. We shall see what happens. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a battle between the spinners, really. Which spin attack can bowl the best against each particular batting lineup as well, and who copes best with the spinners, the spin threat, whether it be Ashwin and Chahal or Ashwin and Akshar, or all three. I don't think they'll play all three, but you never know. Or the England trio as well. If they bowl all three once again, they'll certainly play all three. So I think that's probably the crucial battle. But it's been weird, hasn't it, this last couple of days? There's been no cricket. 2 days without any international cricket here, and we've been so used to matches every day that it's been a weird one. There'll be an extra day now for India to wait, of course, because there's the small matter of New Zealand versus Pakistan in the other semi. How do you see that one going? Pakistan, I think, with all the momentum and the feel-good factor. New Zealand with we'll just fly under the radar and we'll just do our business and just doing what they do in ICC tournaments again.
Yeah. Pakistan's openers, like India's, they've been a huge disappointment. Babar Azam, strike rate of 51 this tournament, has 51 in the power plays, has an average of around 7, has been dismal, terrible form. Even Rizwan's strike rate has been under the scanner. But then, last episode we had spoken about how they were Pakistan's biggest strengths, and now suddenly, they are the weak links. But if you get them early, then they have the middle order that has been firing, and you just never know what to expect of Pakistan. Someone in one of the YouTube comments, someone said that I think Sara is happy and her WhatsApp group is happy that Pakistan have qualified to the semi-finals. I don't know what that meant, but it's just, something like Pakistan just bring with them that unpredictable factor, and they're just, it makes the tournament exciting just having them around, because they just waited for the last moment, the whole Mr. Bean scandal or whatever you want to call it.
I love
You
that Pat
yeah,
Bean. I love that. I mean,
yeah,
that Zimbabwe fan, he was like really
we'll
genuinely
get back
angry
to
that
you.
they sent this fake Mr. Bean. It was so funny.
Yeah, and it's
Ah,
just Pakistan who does all of this. So yeah, it's that's
I
why
hope
I'm, yeah,
those.
like, yeah.
I hope all those journalists, so-called journalists, those ones, even with the blue ticks, like I say, I hope they can have an objective view of this semi-final. So if New Zealand win, it's not
Yeah.
all scam and scandal and the BCCI's done it or whatever. Concentrate on your own house is what I'd say. Just be
Mm.
objective, be a journalist, call it as it is. Don't start, coming out with all this crap on social media. A lot of them have got quite a significant following as well, and people eat all this stuff up, don't they? So just let's hope for a good game between the two and a fair game and no controversy created by these so-called journalists if Pakistan were to lose that one. I've got a feeling though that it's going to be, I mean, wouldn't it be great, India, Pakistan? But then it would be
Don't say
great,
it.
but then it wouldn't
Don't
be
say
great
it.
either. So who knows? Who knows? Let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be
Don't
England, New
say it.
Zealand again.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, right? There's so many stories, aren't there? Because if it's England and Pakistan, for example, they played the 1992 World Cup final in Australia. So England going for that revenge, so to speak. There's England, New Zealand, which repeat of the ODI World Cup final 2019. Black Caps tying that game and losing out on the boundary count and all that controversy. So that could be a good chance for revenge. India versus Pakistan. I mean, doesn't really get much bigger than that, does it? So
Even
repeat of
India,
the
New Zealand
'07
would be.
final.
Yeah.
Yeah, India, New Zealand World Test Championship final, right? So they've all got these little histories, haven't they? All these matchups. And India, New Zealand, obviously India, not just with the World Test Championship final. Okay, well, that's red ball cricket. It's completely different. But the fact that India just never seemed to beat New Zealand in these tournaments, '03 was the last time. And it's been 19 long years of just coming up against New Zealand and just getting hammered most times by them. So, another chance for revenge as well. So there's nice rivalries, whatever happens and whoever is in that final, there's nice little backstories to this. So it's all set up for Melbourne on Sunday. But before that, of course, New Zealand versus Pakistan. And then for us, the big one, India versus England. I will just touch on something briefly as well before we sign off. I'm obviously born and bred in England. There's a lot of people like me who support India. And, a lot of you listening will be aware of the Tebbit test. Norman Tebbit, old politician, conservative back in the 60s, 70s, whenever it was, just a bit of a prick, really. Bit of a racist. And I've actually interviewed him for the BBC. He's like, I don't know how old he is now. He's probably like in his late 80s or 90s or whatever. But he's still got those views that if you want to come to this country, and this was like when there was mass immigration happening from East Africa and people of Indian descent coming in the 60s and 70s, then the real test of whether you're British and you've integrated into society is to support the England cricket team, which is a load of rubbish, because if he moved to India, he wouldn't then start supporting India and disown England, would he? Do you know what I mean? So it's a stupid thing. And then, because the people didn't disown their team when they came to this country, it gets passed down, doesn't it? Your mothers and your fathers pass the teams down to you. And, you feel I feel as English as anybody here. It doesn't matter what skin color they have, what background they have. I'm sort of British Indian. That's how I describe myself. So the British part is massive, but supporting your cricket team. He wouldn't say that to Italian immigrants, would he, about supporting Italy's football team, which they do? What about the Irish as well? So he's just an idiot with outdated views, and he's still got those views. When I interviewed him, that you're a curious fellow, he called me for deciding to support India, and he just didn't understand the argument. But anyway, the point I'm making is there's thousands and thousands of people like me who support India. There's thousands and thousands of Pakistan fans who are born in England, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis, whatever. So, there'll be a lot of support for both India and Pakistan here in England as well. I've seen it. I've seen the excitement building. I was at a family birthday dinner on Saturday night. That's all anyone wanted to talk about, the T20 World Cup, about India, about are they going to do it? Can they beat England? All that kind of stuff. So it's the excitement is building, and I just can't wait. I just can't wait. I just want Thursday to come around quickly, and maybe by Thursday it could be Pakistan in the final as well. So that'll be even sweeter for that. Everyone who wants India versus Pakistan, both here and around the world.
Yeah, just a small thing on what you said. A few days ago, someone from England, I think women cricketer from England, I'm not sure who, someone from England just posted, how lucky are you to have Virat Kohli in your team? Like, we are jealous of Indians having Virat Kohli in their team. So it's, like England they are going back, they are supporting Virat Kohli, and so why don't we support, we can support whoever we want, because people
wasn't
from
it a
England
Pakistan fan as well? But wasn't there that Pakistan fan who had an India flag above his house a few years ago because he was a Dhoni fan or
and
something?
He was arrested,
and he got lynched, didn't he?
Yeah.
Basically got arrested. And I mean, there's other controversy. We don't want to get into all that controversial stuff. But you can support who you like, where you like. And it's not as if I'm just picking a random team and saying I hate everything about England. I don't. I love England. It's my home. But when it comes to cricket, my ancestors are from India, and I'm going to stick with them. And by the way, if English cricket and the ECB, if you wanted to clean up your act and all these counties with all the racism scandals as well, that's another reason why we probably don't support England. Sort your own house out as well. And I've been a victim of that in academies when I was growing up as well. So I know the score. So that's another reason why British Asians don't really support England as much. But anyway, we'll leave all that to one side. We'll hope for 2 good semi-finals. And from our point of view, for everyone listening to this podcast, hopefully India can make it through to another ICC World T20 final. T20 World Cup, I should say. But right, anyway, we've run over our time a little bit. Sarah, thank you as always. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and do join us next time.